Okay, manifestation is subconscious. Okay, anything you want, you can achieve. Okay, so the old saying is anything the mind of man can conceive and believe he can achieve. And it's very true. I've tested this over and over and over. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Sarah. There's Sarah. And so it's really, really true, you know. And the good part about this is that if you dream something, okay, or think up something, or invent something, or conceptualize something, you can bring it into the physical world, okay? And today we're going to talk about universal laws because this will help you. Now, I'm not here to provide feel good solutions, okay? Uh, a couple of my lives were recently, um, I don't want to say they were shadow banned. One of them was, okay, when I reposted them, okay? But the other one was like, I don't know, 4 people watched it. And then usually overnight, like over 2,000 people view it, okay? And I'm, like I said, I'm not here to provide unrealistic feel good things. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to give you uh, the reality, or let's say the fundamental knowledge behind things. Okay, so if the algorithms don't like it, so be it. All right, universal laws. Law number one, the law of divine oneness. Now, what is this? This is the superconscious, what I refer to as the superconscious. Okay, conscious, subconscious, superconscious. And it's not just me, it's a thing. But the reason I talk about the superconscious so much is because it involves God. So whether you think God is God, whether you call God God, okay, I say Father God, okay, or whether you say, you know, source, or whether you say universe. Some people say universe because they don't want to offend people that don't believe in God, or atheists, or, you know, what have you. Okay, but whatever you call that, that's the superconscious. Okay, so it could be higher self, higher intelligence. Good morning, good morning. Whatever you call that, human beings are all the same in here. Okay, now if you think that, you know, we evolved, there are some people that think that we evolved from hot springs and from plankton and, you know, organisms, and all of a sudden we kind of, you know, went that way. And okay, I'm not here to dispute that. I'm not here to tell you what to believe or how to believe. Okay, but the superconscious is where the connection happens. So, what are we really talking about? Well, the 3 states of awareness within, in the kingdom within. Okay, Jesus Christ said the kingdom is within. And the reason I reference the Bible and Christianity is because that happens to be my belief and my belief system. So, and I'm not asking you to believe it. Okay. Uh, anyway, information. Okay. So in the kingdom, there is the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. Okay, your conscious mind only does 5% of the work in your life. Okay, 95% is done by the subconscious. And then there's the superconscious, okay, which operates off of what is in your subconscious, or let's say what amplifies or enables what is in your subconscious, or supports what is in your subconscious. Okay, so your subconscious beliefs have to be in alignment with the superconscious, with God, in order for it to work. Okay, because if you believe, let's say, something in opposition to the superconscious, then it cannot happen. Let's say, for example, you're praying to God for something and you believe something else in your subconscious. And sometimes we're not aware of what we believe until something happens and triggers the belief. And then we go, oh, okay, that's how I feel about it. Good morning, I Cooper. Good morning. Okay, so and people don't understand this, and this is why some people get what they pray for, okay, because it's in alignment with what they believe, and some people don't. They pray, they pray, they pray, okay, and nothing happens. Okay, so the conscious mind, we're going to simplify this. Okay, so the conscious mind is your operating system. If you have an iPhone, it's your OS. Okay, it's your operating system. The subconscious is the hard drive where programs are stored, because they are programs. Okay? When you look at computers, you see a reflection of the human being. So the subconscious is your hard drive. Now, what is the superconscious in this scenario? It's the network that we're all plugged into, and that's the law of divine oneness. Okay? Because that's the energy that we're all born with and born into. We are all one awareness or consciousness. Okay? Now, the law of divine oneness, how does that work? It says that everything is interconnected. Everything. Okay, does that mean you have a pre-planned destiny? No, no, no. You have free will. Okay? And because of that free will, whatever you put into your subconscious as a belief, okay, you can achieve. Why is that? Well, your conscious mind picks the target. That's the job of the conscious mind. Okay? It says, I'm interested in that. Now, when that goes into your subconscious in repetition as a belief, your subconscious looks for pathways to it. Positive or negative, doesn't matter. Okay? So if it's oh, thank you, thank you. Lady Jacqueline, good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you. Thank you. So, whatever your belief is, it doesn't matter. Okay? There's no judgment. God does not judge. The superconscious does not judge. Your subconscious does not judge. Your subconscious doesn't know reality from fantasy. So if you get a bill and you write next to the bill, thank you for the money, your subconscious is witnessing that as income instead of something you need to pay out. Okay? Try it. Okay? And you know what it will do? It will change your attitude towards bills. Okay? I don't look at bills negatively anymore. Okay? The other way you can shift your paradigm as far as money goes, okay, is to be grateful for the service or product you receive when you have to pay. Your rent, your mortgage, your bills, your utility bills, your phone bills. Okay, focus on the service that you get and express gratitude for the service that you get. And pretty soon, right, you'll be able to look at it like something that you are giving of your own volition, of your own free will. Okay? In exchange for the service. But the universal law of oneness, okay, says that we're all created. We're all connected. Okay, and how is this creation connected? Through energy. Everything in the universe is energy. Okay, there's good energy, or what we call light energy, and dark energy. Okay, lately I've been witnessing some dark energy. If you've never witnessed dark energy, okay, you're probably not aware, and you probably think it's you. Okay, let me give you a scenario. And I saw this, an example actually, okay? And I saw this and I did not believe this. Okay, so I was in this house and a friend of mine is spiritual. In Hawaii, we call them kahuna. So he's a Hawaiian, what they call a Hawaiian priest or reverend. And he does Hawaiian practices. Okay, now, I traditionally just believe in my Bible. Okay, I don't believe in, other rituals and practices and things like that. Okay, that's not me. So this was brand new to me, right? So anyway, there was this house, and all of a sudden centipedes started showing up, little baby centipedes like this. Okay, and the centipedes started showing up. And this Hawaiian kahuna says, that's jealousy. Somebody's jealous. And I was like, what? Like, I never heard that before. Okay, and I've been alive a long time. I've never heard that. He goes, somebody's jealous. And I'm like, interesting. So my first reaction was, okay, let's call Terminix, let's call Terminix and have them take care of the property, right? Spray. Right? Spray pesticides, get rid of the centipedes. And he said, you have to light this candle and say this prayer, and the centipedes will disappear. And I was like, right. I was like, yeah, that's going to happen, right? Okay. So we go and get this candle. It's a certain kind of candle, right? And I just I'm not on board with this, okay? But I'm going to try this because I want to see if there's any truth to this or reality to this, right? We bring home the candle, we'll light the candle, say the prayer. The next day, no centipedes over 2 months, and I was like, whoa, okay? Energy. There is dark energy. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it Jorge? Good morning. Welcome. So we have a chat on this side over here. We're on 7 platforms worldwide every morning. We've been doing this since April of last year. And April this year, we complete 1 year and then we're done. So, yeah, and then we might just do periodic lives here and there. Okay? But anyway, we're doing this to archive a lot of our information, to post a lot of our information in hopes that we help people. Okay, so everything in the universe is interconnected. Now, what is this dark energy? Well, the yin and yang. There's dark and there's light. Okay? And the light always exposes the dark. Okay? But you have to have both. You can't just have one. And human beings have a choice. Okay? Because you have free will. You can go over here in the dark. You can go over here in the light. I had a client, and she was from Phoenix. She was from Phoenix, Arizona, and she got, I guess, involved in a lot of dark energy and a lot of dark practices, and she was young, and anyway, it got too heavy for her. Okay, so she started moving to the light. Okay, she found me when she was still in where she had an accident as a result of some dark things. So and then she found me, and I started working with her. She started going to church. She started changing her life. She started doing all these things, right? So a lot of times what happens is when we're involved too much in the dark, it pushes us towards the light. Okay, when it gets too heavy. Okay, some people end up in prison, right? They change their life. They want to move this way now, and then they move towards the light. Okay, so the law of divine oneness says that everything is energy, and everything affects everything else. Okay, but you have autonomous authority over your energy, over your spirit in here. You're not your body. You're not your name. You're that energy that lives in here, that spirit. Okay? Now, this spirit originated in love. Okay? Because there's only one energy. Okay? The dark is the absence of that energy. But that is also energy. Okay? So it's the opposite. Okay? Every event that goes on has a reaction to it. Okay, Sir Isaac Newton, right? Everything has an opposite equal reaction. And this is why we talk about the subconscious tree. Okay, manifestation is subconscious. The roots of the tree are your subconscious beliefs which form your paradigm, which is your attitude or the way you see the world. That's the trunk of the tree. Okay, then we have the fruits on the top. You will know them by their fruits or their actions. Those actions produce results. Okay, so if you want to change your results, can you just change the actions? Sure. But it will be temporary. But if you change the roots, now you'll have lasting change. And why is that? Because when you reprogram your subconscious goes, oh, okay, we're doing this now. And it starts to wash, rinse, repeat. And then you start getting good fruit, which produces good results. Okay, good actions, good results. Better choices, better outcomes. And that's just the way it works. Okay, none of this is magic. None of this is voodoo or witchcraft or anything. And yeah, you can let's say, worship the dark energy, you could, of course. Okay? But that darkness, that void, that emptiness, that lack only goes so far. Okay? Only goes so far. But the oneness that unites all energy is love. Okay? That permeates everything, all spaces, all beings. Okay? Your dog, your cat, okay? Every living being. Okay? Everything is intelligent in the universe. Okay, now the second law, law of vibration. Let's talk about this. This is the principal law to the law of attraction. The law of attraction is, The Secret, right? The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. Okay, that's marketing. A lot of that is marketing. Okay, but it was marketed as, this power that you have within in the kingdom. Okay, and the reason I break it down is so that you understand that this is not magic, that this is your subconscious, and that everyone has it. Okay? So how do you change these subconscious programs? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Human beings are so impressionable, okay, that when you receive information, okay, over and over and over and over and over, eventually it starts to sway your opinion. It starts to move you towards a belief. It could be a product, okay? It could be advertising. It could be religious material. It could be government material. Whatever it is. It could be propaganda. Whatever it is, okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be negative, is what I'm saying, okay? I know a lot of people that, got tired of the dark and then they moved in the light and now they're over consuming the light. Okay, and the reason I say over consuming the light is that they become fanatically into the light. Okay, balance is important. Not the fact that you need to balance by going in the dark. Okay, but you need to be objective in your thinking. Okay, realistic in your thinking. And you have to understand esoteric knowledge. Okay? And the esoteric knowledge is the meaning behind the light teachings. Okay? So the law of vibration is the principal law. The law of vibration says you can only receive what is a part of your vibration. So let's say, for example, you're getting the same results over and over and over, and these results are not good. Okay, sometimes we call that stuck. Something so and so is stuck, or I'm stuck. Why stuck? Because nothing is progressing. Everything is the same. Okay, problems, problems, problems. Now it depends on what the problem is as to how to go about solving it, or take a look at the results and reverse engineer this. So what are the results that are happening? What's going on? Oh, I got this problem with my education, my grades. Okay, then you reverse engineer that. You go, oh, well, your grades are like that. Well, maybe you're not putting enough time into reading. Maybe you're not putting enough time into whatever. Okay, what I'm just saying. Okay, it could be that. It could be your education. It could be your job. You always miss the promotion. You never quite get good enough, or you never quite get the attention of your supervisors to get that promotion. Okay, there's a reason. But you need to reverse engineer this. And when you get to the source, when you get to the reason, now you can engineer it into success, into something better. But you have to identify it first. A lot of people don't know what's wrong. They just know that, oh, yeah, this is bad. But they don't know what's wrong. The law of vibration says that if you raise your vibration, you can't help but attract better. Okay. So if you're stuck in a position where the same stuff keeps happening over and over and over again, it's because your subconscious is going in a circle. Wash, rinse, repeat. You need to change that program. First, you need to identify what it is, and then you need to change it. Okay, Jesus helps. I've done bad stuff before because of the Lord. My life has become a lot better. Yeah, because you're studying positive stuff now. There you go. Mark 11:24. Read it. So when you aspire for better, okay, when you reach for better, you receive better, okay? But your vibration has to raise. I know a lot of religious people that are stuck in a circle. Okay, they don't have money, they don't have resources, they don't, some of them don't have work, some of them do. Okay? Some of them never get any higher than where they are. Why is that? Well, they're not raising their vibration. Okay? It doesn't mean that you're doing bad things. So vibration in human beings mean your mood. Okay? It's your mood. The vocalization process that we do pulls people out of that. You tune a human being like you tune a musical instrument through their voice. It raises their vibration. What happens when that happens? Well, they feel good. Why is that? Because your neurotransmitters start secreting oxytocin and endorphins, and it starts to calm in here. What happens when you get calm in here? Oh, clarity increases. Your vibration increases. Why? Because the negative emotions start to dissipate. It starts to fall apart. Okay? Because of energy, frequency, vibration, and velocity through your voice, or projecting your voice with strength. When this happens, your vibration begins to raise. Why? Because you're clear. Because you're not plagued by anxiety. Okay, I get rid of anxiety. Like, been doing this for years and years and years. Okay, this is one thing that creates anxiety. Okay, little children being raised on tablets. Okay, tablets are good babysitters, right? Just hand the kid a tablet. Oh, there you go, right? keep him occupied. Okay, but eventually it makes them anxious. And then what happens? Well, we need to take him to get diagnosed now because, well, something's wrong. We don't know what's wrong, but something is wrong. And then they get medicated. But the law of vibration tells you, right? When you break free of these things, okay? I use this as a visual with my clients, okay? But this is extreme, okay? But I say, when you're held down inside like this, is it a demon? No, it's not a demon. It's your subconscious stuck in old programs because it will pull you back. It will hold you back. Why? Because you keep reverting to the old program. Why is that? Well, because you haven't established the new program long enough. So how long does it take? About 66 days. Can you write an affirmation for 66 days? Can you speak it out loud at the end of the evening when your brain is in theta state? And when you write it, your brain has to be in theta state as well. But can you speak it out loud every evening before you turn off the light? When your brain is in theta state, when you're fully relaxed, ready to sleep, can you do that for 66 days? And most people will say, yeah, I can do that. After 2 weeks, you can feel the shift. Okay, and this is part of raising your vibration. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization is what I was just describing. Okay, that's the hormonal reaction. And then visualization. When you do all these 4 pillars on any one thing, it has to happen. It cannot not happen. The way it will happen is up to the superconscious or God. Okay, so we always say the how is God's job. It's not your job to figure out how. So many people get stuck on figuring out how, and because they cannot figure out how, because how, there's an unlimited pathway to how. Quantum physics tells us that now. Okay. And because you keep jumping from scenario to scenario to scenario to scenario, you can't figure it out because it doesn't make sense to you because you're using logic. You need to surrender that to God. So Christians say, let go and let God. And what that really means is, I don't know how it's going to happen. I just know it's going to happen. I'm going to put my faith in it happening. And I'm going to continue to take the steps towards it. That's letting go and letting God. So when you're on your way to raising your vibration, okay, repetition is important. Why? Because it's going into your subconscious. Your subconscious learns in repetition, okay, when you combine or marry intention with emotion. It's very important. When I started my first company, I didn't know how. If I start a company tomorrow, I still don't know how. The how is none of my business. Intention married with emotion. So get excited about it. The other thing you can do is energy, because energy is synonymous with emotion. Okay, when you get excited about something. So you can put it into your subconscious energetically with energy. Okay? You can shout it into your subconscious if you want to. It will imprint your subconscious faster. Okay? Do it with excitement in a mirror. I know. It sounds crazy, right? Your subconscious responds to your image over everyone else's. And it responds to your voice over everyone else's. Right now, my subconscious is paying attention to my voice. But it doesn't know if I'm talking to you or if I'm talking to me. Okay? So it's helping me instantaneously as it's helping you. If it's helping you, if you can wrap your mind around these principles. And this is why what goes around comes around, but it goes around and comes around through your subconscious. This is why critical people, you see critical people, they're always saying what's wrong with this, what's wrong with that. They're always venting, they're going on social media and attacking people or saying what's wrong with people or swearing, all of that, right? Okay? Let's just call it toxic behavior. You ever see the people who are exhibiting toxic behavior? They have no self-esteem, or very little. They're highly suspicious of others. Why? Because when you create actions, okay, negative actions, like attacking people, like lashing out at people, striking out at people, I don't care if you're religious, I don't care if it's you see something, you go, that's a demon, and you're striking out. I see so many people do that. A lot of young people do that, right? They're on these little individual crusades, right? But they don't believe in this one. Why? Because they're too busy striking out at that one. And what goes around comes around in your subconscious. So as you are striking out, your subconscious doesn't know if you're striking out against them or if you're striking out against you. And your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses. So it's not just your voice, it's your thoughts. Okay? It's your thoughts. So when you get a negative thought and you have a feeling about it, or it makes you feel a certain way, because first you get the thought and then the feeling comes. Thought, feeling, thought, feeling. How do you get away from that? Say stop when you get the negative thought. Then no feeling. Okay? Then you're not marrying intention with emotion. Okay? Intention is our thoughts. Okay? And of course, it depends on what they are and depends on what the emotion is and how strong the emotion is, because it will happen. So, if you're starting a business, if you're beginning a project, if you're just starting school for something, going to get a degree or whatever it is, training, whatever it is, be excited about it and put it in your subconscious. Then you get into flow state. Okay. So I coach business clients, what I call high performance people. Okay, people that are in charge of a lot of people, or people that have high stress jobs. Okay, they work a lot. They have a lot of responsibilities. Okay, and what happens to high performance individuals is they get caught up in high performance anxiety. Okay, but they don't recognize it. They think it's motivation, and they think that what they're doing is just working hard. They are working hard, okay, too hard. But they're working too hard in here, okay? Stress, overworking, overthinking, overachieving, okay? High performance anxiety looks exactly like motivation. And what do we think? We look at them and go, wow, he's motivated. Wow, look at Johnny. He's motivated. He's slaying the dragon every day, slaying the dragon every day, right? And he's losing himself every day, losing a little bit more of himself every day. But he's gaining over here, okay? High performance anxiety needs to be addressed at some point, okay? Otherwise, exhaustion happens. I have a nurse. And I'm so proud of her. I'm so very proud of her. She got to the point of burnout. She had to stay home for a month. If you have to stay home for 1 month from work and take a 1 month leave from work, you're suffering from high performance anxiety. But she just looked like a really hard worker. Okay, that's how she appeared to everyone. So I said, okay, well, let's do the vocalization exercise and let's do it 4 times a week. Snapped her out of high performance anxiety. Until today, no high performance anxiety. She didn't even know what it was. She didn't know that there was a such thing as high performance anxiety. She thought she was motivated. She thought she was doing the right thing. She thought. But this is capitalism. Okay, this is high performance. This is go, 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 go. I was fortunate enough to meet with Dr. Amit Goswami when he came to Honolulu. Now, if you look him up, Goswami, Goswami. He's one of the foremost leading scientists in the field of quantum physics. And I went to one of his lectures. And he said, you people in the Western world, you're doing it all wrong. He said, we don't do that in the East. He said, you guys push. Okay? And your vibration, your forward momentum, okay? Everything in the universe is energy. Your forward momentum, your push, is keeping all your blessings out here. Like this, like that. Your blessings are waiting to come to you, but you're like this. Push. Work hard. 2, 3 jobs. You know, how much can I do? How much can I achieve? How much can I go? How much can I last? How much can I put up with this? How much can I endure? He said the formula is do. Okay, first you do, and then you be, and then you do, and then you be. And eventually, you establish a rhythm. And this rhythm is highly productive. But you work in flow state, not in survival mode. Okay, survival mode, right? Because if you don't do this, oh boy, everything's gonna collapse. So what you end up doing is you end up running through your profession. You end up running through your career. And this is why when people get to the end, I'm talking about high performance individuals. Okay. When they get to the end, what happens? When they retire, they get that energetic backlash and they don't know what to do. And they're lost. And it affects their health. And this is why when you see these people retire, right? Like, oh my gosh, Johnny got sick. He's sickly. He's getting sick all the time now. And they go, oh well, he should have kept working. It's the momentum. Okay? Energetically, it's the momentum. And it catches up with you when you stop. If you slow down, okay. Slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. Ease into retirement. Okay. Some people don't want to retire. I have a friend of mine is 85 years old. And they can't force him to retire. And he's finally giving in June. He's going to retire. He's finally giving in June. At 85, he's going to retire. Okay. But he loves his work. He loves being productive. He loves being around young, intelligent minds, fresh thinking. He loves that. He's an intellectual. But he's not in survival mode. He does meditation. He does affirmations. He does mindfulness. So the law of vibration says you need to observe your vibration. You need to be aware of your vibration. And your vibration is your mood. So how's your mood? Okay? Thoughts, feelings, they're very important. So let's take a look at some frequencies. Okay? The highest frequency is love. Okay, I have a list. So from love, it's peace, gratitude, joy, passion, excitement, enthusiasm, hope, and satisfaction. Those are the positive vibrations. What's the negative vibrations? Okay, going down to the very bottom, it starts with worry. Are you worried? Are you worried about, I don't know, war coming up? Are you worried about politics? Are you worried about bad things happening? What could go wrong today? Okay. Don't focus on what you don't want. It doesn't matter what the state of the world is in. You have a positive and negative side to everything. There's the glass half full and the glass half empty. Okay? On a personal level. Okay, because there's things you cannot control. The serenity prayer for you Christians. Okay? So it's important to focus on the glass half full. Now, let's say the glass is half empty when you wake up. Okay, you see something and you go, oh my God. Human perception will allow you to observe. If you observe and don't judge, okay? That's why it says, judge not and ye shall not be judged. Okay, this is why. If you observe and you ask yourself the question, what's the good part of this? Slowly, with patience. This is why patience is a virtue. Slowly, with patience, the glass begins to turn. And your perception begins to shift. And pretty soon you see the good side, and now the glass is half full. The glass is always half full and half empty. But when you judge, when you say, this is that is bad, that is no good, that is evil, that is whatever, okay? Whatever. When you pronounce judgment on something, now you ensure that the glass stays right there. Because now you have pronounced it into judgment. They won't tell you this in Sunday school, okay? But it starts with worry. That's the first negative vibration, okay? So let's go down the list all the way to the very bottom, to the worst one. Worry is the least negative vibration. Worry, irritation, disappointment, criticism, anger, hate, boredom, envy, despair, grief, guilt, shame, and fear. Okay? When you get down to grief, guilt, shame, and fear, it's pretty severe. And they're all about the same. They're all about the same frequency, except for fear. It's a little bit less. And we're talking about vibration. If you're attracting guilt, in other words, if you're thinking thoughts that bring the feeling of guilt, just say stop. Say stop and shift the focus. Say stop and look at a picture of your dog, or think of your dog, or your cat, or your baby, or your children, or flowers, or things that you love. The focus should always be things that you love and people that you love. Fear is the lowest vibration. Love is the highest vibration, and everything in between is a variation of one or the other, a degree of one or the other. Number 3, the law of correspondence. The law of correspondence says that whatever is in here is going to be reflected out here. Human beings cannot hide. The only time you don't recognize things is when you're not familiar. If you're familiar, people cannot hide. You ever go into an office and everything is orderly? Somebody's desk, you see those desks, everything is perfect, everything is organized. That's the way they are in here. Okay? This is why in the Bible it says, ye shall know them by their fruits, right? Because your fruits are the actions. Actions produce results. Okay, but the actions are a reflection of the paradigm. What's the paradigm? The paradigm is the way you see the world and your attitude towards the world. And then the subconscious shapes your paradigm. Your beliefs in your subconscious. So if you're nervous, if you're filled with anxiety, if you're filled with fear or whatever, guilt, shame, or any worry, any negative emotion, it's going to be reflected out here. In your work, okay? In your house. What kind of house do you have? Is it tidy? Is it clean? Is it neat? Or are things just thrown all over the place? It's a reflection of in here. Okay, when you see people that, those hoarders and things on television, they have big problems. Okay, it's not normal. So the law of correspondence says, whatever you think in here, you reflect out here. Okay? The law of attraction is the 4th law. That just says like attracts like. Okay? We look for commonalities as human beings. So commonalities, or people that have things in common with us, become attractive to us. Why? Well, it's either the way they act, or what they have or what they're interested in. Okay? If you belong to the, I don't know, San Francisco 49ers, you like the team, you wear the jerseys, and people that like the 49ers are going to want to hang out with you because why? Well, you have something in common. Okay. Good morning, Thomas. Okay. So it also applies to energy, like attracts like. Okay, this is why the law of vibration is the fundamental law. And the law of attraction is a secondary law to the law of vibration. If you're trying to achieve something that's not in alignment with your vibration, it won't happen until you raise your vibration. How do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. There you go. Okay, if you put my name into any AI or any browser and put teaching method after that, you get all this information. Okay? Universal law number 5, the law of inspired action. This says that when you get intuitive thought, okay, that feeling about something, okay, it's not a voice. Sometimes you hear it in your voice, but it's a feeling. You need to act on the feeling because that is divine guidance. The law of inspired action. And this is meaningful, aligned steps that make sense. This is not like, I need to go gamble tonight. Okay, I'm going to win the lottery. I need to go buy a ticket. No, not that. I'm talking about sensible things. I'm talking about life choices. I'm talking about steps towards things. Okay, it's important to trust your gut feeling, if you want to call it that. Okay, because you do feel it in your gut. Okay, but it comes from the right hemisphere of your brain. That's where intuition lives. That's where God lives. That's why Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father, not the left. Okay, Jesus will speak to you that way. But inspired action is important. Okay. Number 6, law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Transmutation, the changing of the form. Okay, to change from one form to another. The ability to take negative energy and turn it into positive energy. The ability to take a bad situation and turn it into a positive situation. And this is what I'm talking about with observation and patience. Okay? Without judgment. The without judgment part is difficult because we have an idea. When we look at something, we get an idea instantaneously. But if you can be patient and switch to the observer, what allows you to do that? Some people tell me, my clients tell me when I first take them in, I can't help it. I see this, it irritates me. I'm like, boom, right? So my program is 12 weeks long, right? Right around the, 5th week, I'm like, how's your triggers? That's the first question I ask. How's your triggers? Did they soften yet? Oh, yeah, I don't get that upset anymore. Ooh, magic. No, not magic. Okay, it's the hormones that get triggered by your voice. It's the affirmations that you're writing in theta state. Okay, it's speaking. Okay, so part of the vocalization is the exercise we do, but the other part is speaking your dreams, speaking positivity, speaking life into your goals. You have to speak them out loud. Okay, the Bible gives you the first clue in the book of Genesis, where God speaks the world into creation. That's your clue. Okay? Because you can do it too. You can speak things into existence. It's not a magic ceremony. It's not a witchcraft ceremony. You just speak. Why? because it goes into your subconscious. Okay. Sort of seems like, let's see, our first brain, yeah, you're correct, Mogali. Yep, the gut, first brain. Sort of seems like it because our gut talks to us in vibration. Yes, it does. Yep, and it all originates in the right hemisphere of your brain. And this is why we were talking about, you know, how trauma gets stored in your nervous system yesterday. That's part of it. It's all connected. So, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy says that you can take a negative situation and change it. Okay? You can change the energy of the way you look at your job. You can change the energy, okay, of anything. Anything. Energy is constantly moving, transforming, and changing form. It morphs. Okay? And you have control of it. Okay? So you can change your thoughts. You can change anything involving energy. The law of cause and effect, okay? 7, really simple. Every action has a consequence. There you go. Okay, those are the fruits. Okay? You shall know them by their fruits. Okay, so the fruits are the actions, and every action has a consequence. The law of compensation. I'm just moving quickly now because we're gonna run out of time. Number 8, law of compensation. What does that? What does that do? What does that mean? Saint Catherine of Siena said, "You will be rewarded." Okay, by the amount of your giving. Okay, so when you give, you're going to receive in accordance with the amount of your giving. That requires examining your intention behind the giving. How did you intend it? Okay. And this is why they always say, right? When you give something, don't expect anything in return. Okay, but the law of compensation says balance and fairness always happens. Okay, always. So you get compensated in proportion to your giving or in according to your work. Okay, if you work a little bit, you get compensated a little bit. You work a lot, you get compensated a lot. Okay, but volume has nothing to do with hard work. That's plantation mentality, okay, because they wanted workers, not thinkers. Okay, I'm not going to go very deep into that. I don't want the live to be. I decided to come back on, man. Oh, okay, Jesus help, 7. Okay. Glass half full review. Yes, glass half full. Mugali. Giving is receiving in a way. Giving is receiving. Giving. Everything works 2 ways in the universe, Mugali. Nothing works 1 way. This is why generosity is important. If you give, and it's part of my business plan, we always give my companies all except 1, because there's nothing to give in one of my companies. It's just a service company. But my other companies, okay, I have 4 companies. 3 of them have giving as a company policy. It's written in our process. Okay, we donate time. And the reason I donate time is because I believe in what I do. Okay, and my time is my life. And I believe so much in what I do that I use my life. Okay, so you know how they say put your money where your mouth is. Okay, put your life where your mouth is. Help someone. Don't just throw money at a charity. Anybody can do that. Anybody can say, well, I'm going to give $500 a month out of my check. Anybody can do that. Do the work. Do the work. Because when you give, you will get in accordance with your giving. Okay? Law of relativity. Everything is relative. Everything is relative and in context to the situation. Okay? Law of polarity. Everything has an opposite, good and bad. Okay? Yin and yang. Okay? Law of polarity. This is why, with patience and observation, The glass half empty becomes the glass half full. Okay, some people don't want to see it. Some people choose not to see it. Okay, some people are stubborn and stick to their position. And some people are open minded. Okay, a mind is like a parachute, it works really well when it's open. Okay, it doesn't work very well when it's closed. Sir, do you think the giving more can harm someone? No, not at all. Not if you're the one giving, Kenny. No, not at all. You're very welcome, I Cooper. You're very welcome. All right, so the law of rhythm is 11. Now, the law of rhythm is directly related to the law of vibration, the fundamental law. Okay? Because you have to see your rhythm. You have to feel your rhythm. What am I talking about? The law of vibration. You know, when you start raising your vibration and you get into a new vibration, let's say you go from the projects and now you're in a better neighborhood. Okay? You have to notice your vibration. When does money come in? When does money go out? When do I feel good? When do I feel bad? Okay? Because you have highs and lows. You have highs and lows. Okay? If you were just good, 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 good like this, life would be terrible. If you were bad, 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 life would be terrible. Okay? But you have to observe your rhythm, get used to your rhythm, and then what? Then you can work in flow state. Flow state is when everything happens like a ballet, when everything happens in harmony, when things just come, things just happen. Okay? What interrupts the flow? Negativity. That's the biggest one. Drama. Those things. Okay? But you can minimize it. You can't stop it. It's going to happen. Okay? There's things beyond your control. That's the law of, that's the serenity prayer. Okay? Learn to accept what you cannot control. Okay? But the bottom line is, when you start working in flow state, you'll have more flow than less. Okay? And it's important to acquire more than less. Because then the majority of your life, okay, 50 percentile, okay, positive, negative, this will grow. Okay? And it grows automatically once you get it over the line. Okay? So at 51%, 52 is almost automatic. A little bit more effort, just a little, just a touch. Okay? With 52%, just a little bit of effort goes to 55 overnight. Okay? But this is subconscious. Wash, rinse, repeat in your subconscious. Okay, that's the law of rhythm. The law of gender, very easy. Everything has a feminine and masculine aspect to it. Everything. Okay? So I'm going to leave it there. Anyway, but Jay's giving me the signal. So thank you so much for joining us. We are on 7 platforms worldwide every day. So I hope you understand a couple of things, okay? That there are universal laws, first of all, okay? That this is not something that's woo-woo or made up or superstitious or anything like that. No, this is solid. This is solid science, okay? This is reality. The other thing that I hope you understand is that manifestation is subconscious. Everybody manifests whether they think so or not, whether they believe in it or not. It's not about whether you believe in it or not. It's about how you can control it to get what you want, to be what you want, to have what you want, to become what you want to become, the kind of person you want to become, the kind of things you want to achieve, the kind of person you want to love, all of those things. Okay? Start with writing it down. Okay? Don't just think it. Don't just think it and let it go. Write it down. Okay? Make it a plan. We can call it goal setting if we want to. Okay? But yeah, make goals. Okay? And just look at your goals every day. Just talk about your goals. Okay? Talk about the things you want, not the things you don't want. Okay? And you will be able to manifest the life of your dreams, or let's say your dreams, or let's say the good things